You're scrolling through your phone right now, wondering why he isn't responding, why your messages sit unread, why that spark seems to fade after just a few dates. Stop right there. Everything changes today. What I'm about to share isn't some complicated mind game or manipulation tactic. It's a simple 10-second voice note technique that creates an instant psychological connection. The kind that makes him check his phone repeatedly, hoping to hear your voice again. Most women make the critical mistake of overthinking their communication. They send paragraph-long texts. They try too hard. They come across as desperate. But the truth, men's brains are wired differently. They respond to specific vocal cues that trigger desire, interest, and yes, obsession. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding male psychology and using your natural feminine energy to create genuine attraction. I've seen this technique transform lukewarm situations into passionate pursuits overnight. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to say, how to say it, and when to send it for maximum impact. This is the voice note formula that dating coaches don't want you to know because it's too powerful when used correctly. Ready to make him obsessed? Let's dive in. Voice notes create an immediate, intimate connection that text messages simply cannot match. When he receives your voice note, his brain processes it completely differently than reading words on a screen. This triggers a deeper emotional response. Text messages are flat. They lack personality. They're easily misinterpreted. But your voice carries subtle emotional cues through tone, pace, and pitch that bypass his logical mind and speak directly to his feelings. It's like whispering directly into his ear. Science shows that hearing someone's voice activates different neural pathways than reading text. It stimulates the auditory cortex and emotional centers of the brain simultaneously. This creates a stronger memory imprint and forms a deeper bond. Men especially respond to voice notes because they're wired to pick up on vocal nuances. Evolution trained them to detect subtle changes in female voices. When you send a voice note, you're tapping into primal attraction triggers that text simply cannot access. Voice notes also stand out in his notification-filled day. Everyone sends texts. Boring. But a voice note? That's rare. It signals effort and thoughtfulness without trying too hard. It shows confidence in a way that feels natural and authentic. There's also the element of surprise. Opening a voice note creates anticipation. What will she sound like? What will she say? This tiny moment of suspense heightens his interest and makes whatever you say more impactful. Voice notes leave room for interpretation, which keeps his mind engaged. He'll replay it, analyzing your tone, looking for hidden meanings. This mental engagement is the first step toward obsession. Another powerful aspect is that voice notes feel more spontaneous and less calculated than carefully crafted texts. This perceived authenticity builds trust. He believes he's getting a glimpse of the real you, not some curated version. Finally, voice notes create a sense of exclusivity. While he might screenshot and share your text with friends, your voice feels more personal, like a secret between just the two of you. This perceived intimacy is incredibly powerful in making him feel specially chosen. Men become obsessed when something triggers both their curiosity and reward systems simultaneously. This creates a powerful dopamine loop in their brains, similar to what happens with addictive behaviors. When you craft a voice note correctly, you activate this exact psychological mechanism. Scarcity plays a crucial role in male psychology. Things that feel rare or hard to obtain become instantly more valuable. Short voice notes that leave him wanting more create this scarcity effect. His brain fixates on getting another hit of your voice, driving him to pursue you more actively. Men are naturally drawn to positive emotions that make them feel good about themselves. When your voice note subtly connects those positive feelings to your presence, his brain forms a subconscious association. You become the source of those good feelings, making him crave more interaction with you. Unpredictability heightens obsession. Studies show intermittent rewards create stronger behavioral patterns than consistent ones. This explains why casino games are so addictive. Your carefully timed voice notes create this same psychological effect. He never knows exactly when the next one might come. Male brains are wired to solve puzzles and overcome challenges. A voice note that hints at something without fully revealing everything activates his problem-solving instincts. He'll think about you more frequently as his mind works to figure you out. Validation is another powerful psychological trigger for men. They crave recognition for their efforts, achievements, and masculine qualities. When your voice note contains subtle validation, it satisfies this deep psychological need that often goes unmet in their daily lives. Control also factors into male psychology. Men feel drawn to situations where they sense agency but not complete certainty. Your voice note should make him feel empowered to act while maintaining just enough mystery to keep him engaged and working for your attention. Emotional contrast creates intense attraction. When your voice conveys confidence mixed with vulnerability, strength with softness, it creates a complex emotional picture that's far more intriguing than one-dimensional communication. This complexity makes you unforgettable in his mind. Timing transforms an ordinary voice note into a psychological trigger that lives rent-free in his mind. Send it too soon, and it lacks impact. Too late, and the moment passes. Perfect timing creates maximum obsession. Morning voice notes between 7 and 8 a.m. hit differently because men are just starting their day. Their mental defenses are down. Whatever you say becomes part of their mental landscape for hours. This timing plants a seed that grows throughout his day as he thinks about you while handling other tasks. Evening voice notes between 9 and 10 p.m. work extremely well because men are winding down, their guard is lowered, they're more receptive to intimate communication. A voice note received during this relaxed state becomes associated with comfort and pleasure in his subconscious. Weekday evenings generally outperform weekend nights. Why? On weekends, he's often distracted by friends or activities. Weeknights feel more intimate and personal. A Tuesday or Wednesday night voice note feels like you're choosing to connect with him during your private time. Never send the voice note immediately after he messages you. Wait 20 to 30 minutes minimum. This slight delay signals you're interested but not desperately waiting for his contact. This builds value and creates healthy tension. Send the voice note after meaningful interactions, not during dry conversation periods. If you've just had a good date or an engaging phone call, that's when your voice will have the strongest impact. His emotional connection is already activated. Right before he needs to focus on something important, works surprisingly well. If he has a meeting, workout, or other commitment coming up, sending it 15 minutes before means he'll enter that activity with you on his mind, unable to give it his full attention. Avoid sending voice notes on Friday or Saturday nights unless you're together. These times can seem like you have nothing better to do, potentially lowering your perceived value. Strategic timing during his workday, especially mid-afternoon when energy naturally dips, provides a welcome emotional boost. He'll associate your voice with feeling better during a low energy moment, creating a powerful psychological connection that makes him crave more of that feeling from you. Tone carries more impact than words alone. Men respond instinctively to vocal qualities that signal femininity, warmth, and confidence. Speaking slightly slower than normal conversation creates an immediate sense of intimacy that pulls him in closer mentally. Lowering your pitch slightly at the end of sentences signals security and self-assurance. High-pitched, rushed speech patterns trigger his brain to perceive anxiety or neediness. Instead, allow your voice to drop naturally when finishing thoughts, creating a soothing quality that men find irresistible. Soft-spoken doesn't mean weak. Adding a subtle breathiness to your voice stimulates his imagination and creates a sensory experience beyond just hearing words. This subtle vocal technique activates the same brain regions involved in physical attraction, making your voice note feel almost like a physical touch. Varying your speaking rhythm creates emotional texture. Start slightly faster, then slow down for important points. This rhythmic pattern keeps his attention locked on your voice and emphasizes key messages without seeming forced or theatrical. Genuine warmth cannot be faked, but can be amplified. Smile while recording ease. Actually smile physically. This simple action changes your vocal resonance in ways men subconsciously detect. They hear the smile in your voice, triggering mirror neurons that make them smile too, creating an emotional connection. Vocal fry, that slightly raspy quality at the end of sentences, works well in small doses. Studies show men perceive this quality as both confident and relaxed. Just don't overdo it, or it seems affected rather than natural. Pausing briefly after saying something meaningful creates powerful tension. These micro silences allow him to absorb what you've just said and anticipate what comes next. Each pause makes him lean in mentally, increasing engagement with your message. Speaking directly as though he's right there with you creates immediate intimacy. Address him by name once within the voice note. This personalization activates the reward centers in his brain, as hearing one's name triggers unique neural activity that heightens attention and emotional response. Allowing tiny imperfections, a genuine laugh, slight hesitation, or natural vocal shift makes the voice note feel authentic rather than rehearsed. This authenticity builds trust while making him feel specially chosen to hear your unfiltered self. Specific phrases trigger immediate psychological responses in men when delivered correctly. 10 seconds isn't long, so every word must serve a purpose. Start with his name research, shows personal addressing activates unique brain regions linked to attention and emotional engagement. Include one genuine compliment that acknowledges something specific about him, not generic flattery. I was just thinking about how you explained that concept yesterday, acknowledges his intelligence. That thing you said made me laugh all day, validates his humor. These targeted compliments feel authentic and create deeper impact than general praise. Add a hint of mystery with an incomplete thought. I keep thinking about what you said about, or I can't stop wondering if, leaves him mentally filling in gaps, extending his engagement with your message long after it ends. This cognitive involvement is the foundation of obsession. Incorporate a subtle callback to a shared experience only you two understand. This creates exclusivity and reinforces your unique connection. just like that time at, instantly transports him back to a positive memory with you, strengthening neural pathways associated with pleasure and your presence. Create anticipation with future focused language. Next time we, or I'm looking forward to, plants the seed of inevitable future interaction. This presumed continuity makes him subconsciously accept that more moments together are coming, increasing his investment in maintaining contact. Express vulnerability through one authentic emotion. I felt so, or it made me feel, creates emotional intimacy without seeming needy. Men respond strongly to authentic emotional disclosure because it's relatively rare in their experience and signals trust. Include a sensory detail that triggers his imagination. Mentioning something you can see, hear, taste, smell, or feel pulls him into your present moment. The coffee here reminds me of, or this song playing right now, creates a vivid mental picture that makes your connection feel immediate and real. End with subtle intrigue rather than a direct question. Anyway, just crossed my mind, or that's all for now. Gives him space to respond without demanding it. This non-needy exit creates desire for closure, making him more likely to initiate further contact on his own terms. Certain phrases instantly shatter attraction, regardless of how perfectly you've executed everything else. Neediness kills desire faster than anything. Avoid saying, I miss you, or I've been waiting to hear from you in early stages. These statements transfer all your power to him and signal low value, triggering his instinct to pull away rather than pursue. Questions that demand immediate responses create pressure instead of intrigue. What are you doing right now? Or why haven't you called? Feel like obligations rather than opportunities. Men retreat from perceived demands on their freedom, even subtle ones hidden in your tone. Over-explaining is attraction poison. Long-winded justifications for why you're sending the voice note make you seem insecure. Sorry to bother you. I just thought I'd send this because undermines everything that follows. Confidence requires no explanation for taking up space in his life. Excessive compliments backfire dramatically. Multiple praise statements in one voice note seem desperate or manipulative. Men value what they earn, not what's freely given. One specific genuine compliment carries more weight than 5 generic ones that could apply to anyone. Future relationship talk creates instant anxiety. Phrases like when we're together or anything hinting at defined relationship status activates his commitment, avoidance instincts. Even if he likes you, premature relationship framing makes him feel trapped rather than intrigued. Obviously rehearsed or scripted sounding messages destroy authenticity. If your voice note sounds like you're reading lines, his brain immediately registers fakeness. Natural imperfections create trust. Perfect delivery creates suspicion about your motives. Passive-aggressive comments disguised as jokes create emotional discomfort. Must be nice, to be too busy to respond, or guess you're having too much fun without me. Broadcast insecurity and jealousy, two qualities that instantly diminish attraction. Trauma dumping or sharing negative emotional states too early creates an association between your voice and discomfort. Voice notes should elevate his mood, not bring heaviness into his day. Save deeper emotional sharing for established relationships with solid foundations. Fishing for compliments through self-deprecation reads as emotional neediness. I probably sound terrible, or you're probably sick of hearing from me, forces him to either reassure you or agree with your negative self-assessment. Both options create an uncomfortable dynamic. Following up correctly amplifies the impact of your voice note tenfold. Patience becomes your greatest asset after pressing send. Fight every urge to check if he's listened or to send a follow-up text asking, "Did you get my voice note?" This waiting period creates valuable tension that intensifies his interest. Men value what they pursue. After sending your voice note, create space for him to come to you. This strategic distance triggers his hunter instinct. When he responds, wait slightly longer than usual before engaging again. This subtle shift in your response pattern signals confidence and creates healthy pursuit dynamics. If he responds with a voice note of his own, you've already succeeded in creating a more intimate communication channel. Don't immediately switch back to text. Continue the voice exchange for at least 2 to 3 or messages before naturally transitioning to whatever communication style feels right. Should he respond with just a text, don't point it out or ask for a voice response. Instead, send a brief text back, then wait a day before sending another strategic voice note. This pattern trains him to associate your voice with positive anticipation without explicit pressure. Never reference the content of your voice note if he doesn't respond immediately. Act as though it was a casual gesture rather than a calculated move. This nonchalance preserves your power position and prevents awkwardness if he takes time to reply. When conversation resumes, don't analyze his reaction to your voice note or ask if he liked it. This meta-conversation breaks the spell. Instead, focus on normal, engaging conversation that builds on any positive response he showed without explicitly acknowledging your strategy. If he compliments your voice or mentions enjoying the voice note, acknowledge it briefly without over-explaining. A simple, "glad you liked it," maintains mystery while validating his positive response. This reinforces the behavior you want, this appreciation of your voice, without revealing your full awareness of its impact. Social media activity during the waiting period should remain normal. Posting excessively or going completely silent both send messages about your emotional state. Maintain regular patterns that show you're living your life regardless of his response timeline. Frequency determines whether this technique creates obsession or diminishes into background noise. Scarcity creates value. One perfectly timed voice note every 7 to 10 Dalton's Wise generates far more impact than daily voice messages that become expected and ordinary. Men's attraction psychology works through intermittent reinforcement. Psychology studies confirm that unpredictable rewards create stronger behavioral patterns than consistent ones. Sending voice notes at irregular intervals, sometimes 5 days apart, sometimes 12, keeps him perpetually uncertain, yet hopeful about when he'll hear your voice again. Early dating stages require more restraint. During the first month of connection, limit yourself to no more than 1 voice note per week. This established baseline makes any increase in frequency feel significant and special rather than standard operating procedure. Track his responsiveness as a calibration tool. If he consistently replies quickly with enthusiasm, you might gradually increase frequency to 2 per week maximum. If his responses seem lukewarm or delayed, scale back immediately to rebuild scarcity value. Special occasions justify breaking your normal pattern. Birthdays, achievements, or significant events warrant an extra voice note without diluting the effect. These justified exceptions feel natural rather than needy, while still delivering the psychological benefits. Different communication patterns apply to different relationship phases. As exclusivity develops, voice notes can increase slightly, but should never become your primary communication method. They should remain a special accent to your normal texting pattern, not the foundation of your exchanges. Pay attention to reciprocation rates. If you're sending voice notes at a 3-to-1 ratio compared to him, you're overusing the technique. Ideal exchange happens when he begins initiating voice notes at nearly equal frequency to yours, signaling he values this connection method. Seasonal adjustments make sense psychologically. Slightly increasing frequency during times of natural separation, business trips, holidays with family helps maintain connection during distance. Just return to normal pattern immediately afterward to prevent habituation. Watch for diminishing returns carefully. If his reactions become less enthusiastic, or he begins responding with increasingly shorter texts, you've exceeded optimal frequency. Pull back immediately and reestablish scarcity to regain the power of this technique. This 10-second voice note technique works because it taps into fundamental male psychology. It creates connection on a deeper level than regular texting ever could. It positions you differently in his mind compared to other women he might be talking to. Men respond to confidence, authenticity, and mystery, all elements perfectly delivered through a well-crafted voice note. When you combine the right words with perfect timing and an irresistible tone, you create a powerful attraction trigger that's nearly impossible for him to ignore. Start implementing this strategy today. Begin with one carefully crafted voice note using exactly what you've learned. Pay attention to his response patterns and adjust accordingly. Remember that this technique is about quality, not quantity. One perfect voice note trumps 10 mediocre messages. This isn't manipulation. It's understanding human psychology and communication in the digital age. You're simply presenting yourself in the most compelling way possible while creating genuine connection. If you found value in this technique, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful dating strategies that actually work. Turn on notifications so you never miss our next video. Every week, we share these hidden psychology secrets that transform your dating life completely.